Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2025 Sunseeker 3010Dsf. We're just going to start off at the back of the unit. You got your observation camera right up top. That's what shows you your rear view when you're inside the cockpit. You got a 2-inch receiver out back here. You do have a 7-way plug. Just keep it in mind, you got some weight restrictions when you do come to pulling anything. You got your dust cap with your propane quick connect. You're going to notice with the flow open the way it is now, you can't operate that collar, but if you were to close that flow, it allows you to pull that collar back, and it's just like an airline. So if you'd like to get your barbecue set up with that, our parts department do sell the propane hoses for that. You just have to contact them for a quote. Inside this big compartment back here, it's showing your main storage compartment. Comes with this starter kit. Inside this starter kit, you got your 10-foot sewer hose, your 15-foot water hose, a 15-amp park adapter, as well as some toiletry and just some miscellaneous goods. Right here, you're going to notice you got your 30-amp twist lock connection. Just take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. You just plug that on in. 8th turn to lock it into place, and then you got that threaded collar if you'd like to really lock that down. Once you get that all lined up, it's getting stuck. Sorry, technical difficulties. So you line that up. Oh, why is it giving me? Twist that in, 8th turn. Once that's twisted in, you got that threaded collar, which then just locks into place. If you follow that cord back, you do come to your standard 30-amp plug-in. Most campsites should have this and you can plug right on in. But let's say you have the unit at home and you want to run your fridge, or your site, you only have 15-amp service at your site. We do include a 15-amp park adapter. Just keep in mind when you're going down to 15 amps of power, you're only going to be running something like your air conditioner, or your fridge and your lights. You're not going to want to run your air conditioners. You're going to trip the breaker. Inside this compartment, if you open it up, you got your main little water system, as well as on this back here, you got this little air nipple. If you put an air line on there, it does fill those airbags. You're going to want to run about 50 pounds in there all the time, always making sure that they're both even whenever you do adjust them. There's going to be one on the other side in the same compartment. You got your city water connection, so if you're at a site with service, just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. That's going to pressurize all the lines without the needing to run your water pump. You got a black tank flush, so it's very important that you have your sewer hose connected and your black tank open whenever you use this flush. Turn it on, and it's going to flush out all those lines. Flush out that black tank, keeping things that little bit cleaner. Pull down your sewer cap here. Just take a note of those two notches there. It's the same thing your sewer hose is going to have. And you just line those guys up with those notches. Clicks into place, locks in. You got a black tank and a gray tank. You're always going to want to empty your black tank first, as you have your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. Then you can come behind that with your gray tank, which is typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. You do have an exterior shower out here, hot and cold water. Gas fill for the bus right here. This is just going to give you access to your seatbelt harnesses, as well as a little extra storage. Big storage compartment here, as well as here. Right through here, pop this guy open. That does give you a service access to your generator, and also another way to turn it on. If you just pop that cover off, you're going to see that switch there. There is a switch inside, which you'll mainly use. That one is just for emergencies, in case the inside one weren't to work for whatever reason. So you got your cockpit here, typical Ford chassis. And coming around to the driver's side, under this big compartment here, you do just get a nice little exterior TV, just like home. Not much I'm going to show you there. Storage, you got your water heater access. Pop this guy off. 1.1/8" socket takes this guy out. This is the main drain bolt for the water heater. You're going to want to make sure you have one of those on hand, just when it comes to emptying the tank for winterization. Or if you don't want the water going stale or stagnant, just crack it open. Pressure relief valve, so whenever you first get to your campsite, pull that guy. There should be a shot of water coming out of there letting you know that the tank's full and safe to fire up. No water coming out of there. We do have the unit currently winterized for customer pickup. That's why there's no water coming out of there. I'm going to go over a reset procedure inside. The button I'm going to refer to is just right here. Get that guy back in place. You just got to get this tab, flip it over right here, open this guy up. This is going to be where you fill your propane for the unit, as well as you turn it on. Counterclockwise turns it on, clockwise turns it off, making sure you open it up all the way where you have adequate flow. Whenever your furnace is running, this is going to be blowing out hot air, so just be mindful of that. This is going to be for your fresh tank fill. This is where you're going to be filling your fresh tank in case you're running off that water pump. Threaded guard nose in there, turn it on, and that's going to fill that tank. Opening up this compartment, you're going to notice there's another little compartment door back here. Pop that guy open, gives you access to your water pump. This is going to be your fresh tank and your low point drain for the fresh line, for the cold line. Then you got a low point drain for your hot line right there. And then you're going to notice this third valve, and that's just the bypass valve for winterization. Take this cap off, stick this into your jug of coolant, and that'll allow you to winterize it. That other airbag, air inlet I was telling you about. Taking a step on inside, grabbing this door handle, popping it open. That comes open nice and easy. If you pop this strap off, you're gonna notice this is where your house batteries are kept. Battery disconnect is just on the wall here. I'm just going to turn on a light so you can see a little bit better. The light switch is just over here on the wall. I'll show it to you in a second. But since you're already over here, it's just right here. And then you also have a dimmer so you can dim those lights. Back to where we left off. You got your battery disconnect switch. So with it on the on position like it is now, the batteries are connected to the unit. If you were to turn it off, the batteries would become disconnected from the unit. This light switch does the awning LED strip light, and the other light switch does a little porch light. And then you got your awning switch, so pushing and holding that button up will allow that awning to start making its way out. You're gonna know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and a little flap hang down. Just keep it in mind whenever you get to about 5 km/h winds, you're gonna wanna make sure you bring that awning in, that way you don't run the risk of bending anything or tearing your fabric. We got that flap hanging down in the back of the metal tube. Now if it were to start raining, you can take any arm, front, or rear, pull down on it. That's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now if you like that angle better because it allows for more shade, you can do the same thing with the front arm. Just always making sure you do push both back to straight before you bring the awning in. That way you don't run the risk of bending anything. And to bring it in, it's just as simple as holding the button down to allow that awning to fold the right way in. And once the arms contact the trailer, the motors would automatically cut off. Now, to run the slide outs or the leveling system, the parking brake does have to be set and the key has to be in the ignition and in the accessory mode. Once it's in accessory mode, the key's in the ignition, this lights up. You get to your leveling system, so you can hit auto level. It's going to automatically level the unit, all the jacks, and if you hit retract jacks, it's going to retract all the jacks. Unless you push this little button here, you can go into manual mode. You can also connect it to your phone. You got a calibration mode, and you also have some jack lights you can turn on as well. You got your solar controller right next to it, so that's how you control everything that's going on with your solar panels and your solar charging system. Since we have the key on, we're just gonna run these two slides out. So for this one, you're just hitting the button here. Slide out's gonna start making its way out, and once it's fully extended, you hear the lines that fix the motor. You heard the clicking, you know you're fully extended. Now, coming into the bedroom, light switch is on the opposite side. The slide out button switch, which is right here. Pushing and holding that button in, the same thing. Slide out's gonna make its way out once fully extended. You know the lines and the clicks of the motor. Important note I'm gonna say about running slide outs, whenever you do, before you ever go to run either one, always making sure what's on either side, inside and out, so you don't run the risk of running into anything. Up front is just your typical Ford cockpit, just like your regular car. Up top, you do have a little bunk area. You can either run it with this open, which is the best case for traveling, just a little more headroom, a little less claustrophobic. But if you're parked for a while and you're using the bunk, you can slide this in place and you get more space. And then you can click your ladder in to those slots there, and you have a nice ladder to get in and out. We do store the ladder right here on these nice latches. That way it doesn't go anywhere whenever you are traveling. Up in the bunk space, you can flip these guys open, and you have storage inside here, and on either side you do have USB plugins. So that's one nice feature about that. Now in the main living space, you got this little pop-out outlet, which is quite nice. Slide that, push that guy in and slide it out. And you got some outlets as well as some USB plugins. And then just pushing that red tab to get it back down. Inside here, you're gonna notice there's a cable going in, and you might not be able to see it right now, but there's a little black button right next to this cable. Turning that on turns on the antenna and the roof, and it also improves radio frequency, so I do just recommend leaving it on all the time. You got your TV here, which does fold up, and you have some more storage space behind that. This is your TV. You got your garbage disposal right here. Access to that is through the storage compartment outside. You got some storage space all around, kitchen sink with hot, cold water. Not much I'm going to show you there. There is lots of accent lighting all around this unit. It is quite nice. You got your range hood. Down turns the fan on and the light on. Up just turns the light on. Whenever you're running your propane stove, it is very important when you run this fan, just so you're evacuating some of those fumes it creates. To get the stove to light, you do have to make sure you push this button in to turn the knobs on, which supplies 12 volt to the igniter. Push it in and turning it over to the high setting gets it to light. Fired right up first try today, just because I had the propane system already running earlier. In most cases, it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the lines, so just be mindful of that. Got a convection oven right down below. Just like home, not much I'll show you there. Coming to the kind of seating space, you got a couch, which also turns out into a bed. And then, of course, you have seat belts with this one, so you can legally carry passengers as when you're traveling. So that's a nice feature with that. And it just folds in and out nice and easy like so. All the blinds in the unit do also work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them, and one quick pull will allow them to retract back up. Now we get to the dinette. Currently have it set up as so. Seat belts, again, legally carry passengers here while you're moving. And then if you want to turn it to a bed when you got parked, you just have to loosen off this knob, take the table leg out, put the table on top of these ledges, and then you can take a back cushion and fill in the center. You can have yourself another bed. Storage underneath as well. On the wall, because the furnace and both the furnace and the stove work off propane, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If that guy ever starts going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane, open up some windows, turn on some vents, just to ventilate it out a little bit. Right above your head, you're going to notice you got one of these vents. You got to push it in to lock it, pull it, unlock it, then turn it counterclockwise to open it up. And it is a fantastic fan, so it has the fantastic cover, and then your power modes are just right here. The first time you press the button is going to be the slowest speed, and the fourth time you press the button is going to be the fastest speed. Fan off to turn it off, and then of course to close it, just the opposite of what you did. Lock that tight down, lock it into place. You got your Furrion 12 volt fridge, so this does operate as you're driving. You have a crisper airflow control right there at the back, and then all your other controls are right up here near the top. Nice little pantry space with some sliding drawers. On the wall, you got your main kind of control area. So you got your light switch, which I've already talked to you about. The slide out switch, security light. So that security light is on the driver's side of the unit, right near the dumping station. They call it a security light. I think it's just, if you're dumping at night, you got a nice light there. You got your generator start stop switch. To get that generator run, you're just pushing and holding that start button. Generator fires on up. And then to get it to turn off, you just hitting that button and it turns the generator off. You are equipped, this is an extended camping RV, so you do have the Arctic Pack system, which is just essentially tank heaters on your tanks. It's for extended camping season. You're not going to want to go any more than -5. Even at -5, you are running the risk of freezing things, so just be mindful of that whenever you are using it. You also have a heat pump built into your AC on this unit, which also pumps into the underbelly, and you have one that goes into the water pump compartment. Water pump switch turns that on. That draws from your fresh tank. You can either fire that water heater on gas or electric. Gas obviously heats up way quicker. If you turn it on gas, this fault light's going to come on. The water heater's going to try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this fault light's going to stay on. In that case, you do just have to turn the switch off, go hit that reset button I showed you earlier, and then turn it back on and try and restart it. Because like I said, with the propane system, if you just turn the gas on, sometimes it takes a few seconds just to clear all the air out of the lines. Electric's just as far as pushing the button and it'll start heating. You got your LPG reading, your battery reading, which is low, fair, good, and then battery charging. And then you got your fresh, your black, and your gray readings, which is empty, 1/3, 2/3, and full. Taking a step up into the bath area, you got your shower here, which is quite nice. Hot and cold water, nice little skylight. Get my camera on to step inside here. You got this door, opens up into your toilet area with your little sink for cleaning your hands. Just notice if you do push this all the way back, it adds a little privacy barrier in case you're getting out of the shower or out of the bathroom. You don't want your guests to see you. If there's a little magnet that holds this door latched. And then these are also little fold down hooks for towels, quite neat. And then inside the bathroom area, there's not really much I'm going to show you. Again, another fan, but this one is not a fantastic fan. So if you open it up all the way, you are going to notice you go straight into the atmosphere. So if it were to start raining, it would get wet in here if you left this open. But we do sell max air covers. You can contact your parts department to get set up with those. Goes over this so you can run it just like your fantastic fan, whether you're traveling or whether it's raining. On the wall, you got your main GFI plug. You got reset in the middle. Test on the bottom. If you ever have an outlet that doesn't work, this would be the first place I'd check. Hit that reset, making sure you have that green light there. Now stepping into the bedroom area, your slide out switch just on the wall like so. Right below the bed here, you got your main fuse and breaker panel. So if you ever have a breaker trip, it's going to sit in the middle, so you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And all your fuses are right here as indicates. Under the bed, you can lift up the foot of the bed and you get some little bit of storage space underneath, as well as a little false hidden panel to get access to some your water tank and some other things in case you're servicing anything. Little lights above your head, just on its own button. It's got a few different settings. And then against this wall, you got your TV, which does pop out of place actually, and there's some more storage behind that. Storage all along this wall, and then last but not least, you get your thermostat, which is in the bedroom here. So you hit that mode button once, it's going to turn the fan on. Now that's turning the fan on for the air conditioner to move air around. There's no heating or cooling involved. If at any point in time you want to change the fan speed, you just got to hit the fan button. It'll go from low to high. Hit that button one more time, you get to cool. So now the air conditioning takes into effect. One more time, you get into heat pump. So now what a heat pump is it reverses the flow of the air conditioner. So instead of blowing out the hot air and blowing in the cold air, the air conditioner is actually going to blow in the hot air and out the cold air whenever you're using the heat pump. And like I said, it is ducted to the underbelly as well. One more time, you get to that furnace setting, and that fires up your furnace. Whenever you do turn your furnace off, it is going to run for about 3 minutes extra just to allow itself time to cool down, just as an added safety measure. Up and down with the temperature controls will change your set temperature. And then one more time, you can just fire the furnace instead of using the heat pump as well. One more time brings you back to off. And that's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.